welcome to another edition of the Talking Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Henriksen, and with me, as always, is Gordon Gecko himself, Josh Day. Josh, how you doing?
Hey, ready to talk some trades.
Yeah, we got some trades on the books this week. One big one that you made, so we're going to talk about that in depth. And then we have some player updates, including what to expect from Royals' top prospect who got the call this week, Jack Caglianone. Is it Caglianone or Caglione? I've heard it pronounced both ways. We're going to go with Caglianone.
Is it? I thought it was Caglione.
I don't know. There's two N's. When is N ever silent in any word, ever?
Where did you hear Caglianone?
I don't know.
Sounds wrong.
I don't know. I look at it and it's got two N's with an O in between. So I just feel
Caglione.
like,
I think we should just refer to him as Cags. That's what the cool people, that's like the in crowd call him Cags.
Yeah, let's call him Jack Cags.
Cags. There we go.
Sounds like he should be playing baseball in 1825. And so, just a friendly reminder, we release new episodes twice each week, Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, with our full feature-length episode, and Tuesdays with our shorter news and notes episode we call the Midweek Minutes. So be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and the Odyssey app. And leave us a 5-star rating, a like, a thumbs up, a kind review. It all goes a long way in helping us out. All right. Trades. Let's get to it.
Let's get it.
All right, so one of us made a very big trade this week. One might say franchise altering. I would say. Well, yeah. I mean, Josh, you traded Rafael Devers, Jackson Merrill, and Spencer Schwellenbach, 3 big names for Jackson Chourio and Junior Caminero. And now before everyone starts losing their mind, oh my God, how did you give up so much and only get those back? Well, timeout. Timeout. We'll get there. Just to give you some context.
Yeah. You got to dial in the context.
Yeah, big context in this trade. It is a keeper league. So Devers cannot be kept in this league.
Well, he could, but it'd be a waste of a first-round pick.
Yeah, it'd be a waste of a first-round pick. Because the way you keep players in this league is the round they were drafted the previous season +1. So if somebody's taken in the 10th round, you can keep them next year in the 9th round, and then you can keep them 4 times. 4 consecutive times, I should say. So Rafi Devers drafted in the 2nd round. I don't think you'd keep him in the 1st round. So Rafi Devers probably not a keeper. Jackson Merrill has what?
No, he has 3 years.
3 years left on his keeper.
End of the draft. Really good value there. Schwellenbach has 3 years left. End of the draft. Really good value there. Jackson Chourio and Junior Caminero are also end of draft keepers. Both have 2 seasons left after this one. Mm-hmm.
So now we have context on the value of the keepers in this league. So you made this mega trade.
That's right.
I would call it a franchise-altering trade because you altered your keepers here. 2 out of 5 keepers. That's 40% of your keepers you have altered here. So Josh, first and foremost, why did you make this trade?
Well, I think the big why, to add more context to the context, is that...
Whoa, is that sub-context?
Or meta context? I don't know. It's all about context, I guess. So I traded away. I actually had Caminero and Chourio last season, and I had them as keepers. I think going into last season, I don't remember when I had them, but I had them stashed. And last season, I think it was actually around this time, I was in a position where I was like, well, I think I can make a push to contend. And Chourio and Caminero were not really doing anything at the time. Like, they're certainly not to where they were producing at the end of last season and this season.
Yeah, I believe Caminero was still in the minors.
Yes.
And Chourio hadn't had his big second half yet. He hadn't turned it on.
No. So I traded them away. I don't remember what the trade was. I think Pete Alonso was in the mix. But it was
your
for
favorite Michael Harris was in the mix.
Oh God. Not go down that road today. But anyway, it was like I was gonna get, some win now players, and Michael Harris could, he can be kept at the end of the draft. So I was like, all right, well, at least I get something. I think we had an interesting conversation last season about the type of keepers for the context of our 10-team league where it's only 4 seasons. So we were thinking like really maybe it's not the best to have like really young keepers because
Yes.
they might maybe they've reached their peak on their final year of keeping them.
Right.
So it's kind of like it squanders a lot of time and maybe adds some dead weight to your roster. Anyway, fast forward, Caminero is gets promoted. Furio has a huge second half. I don't really contend. And I have major regrets about trading these prospects away. I've traded away big prospects in the past.
Let's let's just say what happened as a result of that trade. You didn't contend, and the manager that made that deal with
Oh
you
right,
came in second
yeah,
place.
yeah. So
It did not work.
did not work. I regretted it, and I regretted it going into this season because like my keepers I didn't love. I think I just kind of like lucked into having Jackson Merrill and Schwellenbach. Honestly, like I picked up Merrill at the beginning of last season. Schwellenbach, I don't even remember honestly picking him up. But I think I was just like streaming him. And then I think we were talking in the off season. You're like, dude, you have Schwellenbach. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep him, So yeah, I think I just wanted to buy these players back essentially with this deal. I think my best keeper right now is Corbin Carroll, but I only have him for one more season. I have Christian Campbell, but I'm not really sure what kind of player he's going to be. He's really struggling right now. Doesn't mean like he's going to struggle for the rest of his career, but I just can't really see. I don't know if he's just going to be like an average bat for his career, or is he going to steal bases? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with him. And Michael Harris is just not living up to his hype. Um, I really like Jackson Merrill. I'm a little but I just don't know that he's going to provide a lot of steals, and I don't know, like how much power he's actually going to have. So in a way, I do think his hit tool is better than Cheerios. So I think he's going to hit for more average. But I kind of wonder if Cheerios going to steal more bases and hit about the same amount of homers. So in that sense, I like Cheerio a little better just because of the stolen base. I just feel like I'm going to get a little bit more with a slight downgrade in batting average. So that was my thinking there. I know Merrill's 3 seasons, but my other feeling on this is that I don't love keeping pitchers because,
No, you do not.
well, I don't like them because it's like year to year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to get.
They're
Like
way less predictable, and the health issues.
very prone to injury. Like Eno Saris this preseason said something that it's all pitchers have a 40% chance of getting hurt.
It's not good.
So I just I don't love holding on to I mean I know batters can get hurt too and they can have down seasons, like look at Bo Bichette last year, but I just feel like batters are a little more predictable.
Yes, I agree. And I have invested based on that advice in our 12-team league in only hitters as keepers.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well so far.
Yep. Yeah, you're doing really well.
I mean, your keepers are second to just me, in my opinion,
Yep.
in that league. So
Yep.
I think that's a very good perspective to have. Is that pitchers are way harder to invest in for long-term keeper success, for
Mhm.
long-term, success. I should say sustained success
Yep.
in keeper and dynasty formats because of the unpredictability. They need Tommy John. They're out for 14 to 16 to 18
Yep.
months.
And then we
Right.
don't know who they are on the back end of that.
Exactly. And so, like you said, hitters are way more predictable. So it's better to invest in hitting as your keepers, as your dynasty investments. And so
Mhm.
I think that perspective can lead to more sustained success. That is something you recognized earlier than me, and I have followed suit.
Yeah. So, and also Schwellenbach, I think he's going to be a very good pitcher, but I don't know that he's going to be like a true ace.
A number two, a solid number two.
Yeah. But I think I would rather have Caminero for 2 more seasons or 2.5 more seasons. And also, I only have Carroll for 1 more season, so this pads out my keeper projection for a little bit longer with elite hitting keepers while I restock the pond with a couple more.
I think your pond may have some tadpoles in it. You have Christian Campbell, like you mentioned. You have Nick Kurtz sitting on the IL, and you have Sebastian Walcott in your NA spot. So your guy,
we'll
they're there. You're very good at finding those guys early.
Well, I don't know. Your keepers are pretty fire in in both leagues, but the 10-teamer in this context is quite good.
Yeah,
I think you have a surplus actually. So
that is only happened since the season started. I did not feel like I had a surplus going into the season.
I mean, we'll see about Caglianone, but
yeah, we'll see. But hey, look, Kurtz took what, about 4 weeks to heat up, 3 weeks to heat up,
and then he got injured,
and then he got hurt. But I want to know more about this trade, because the manager that you traded with,
first of all, wait, hold on. Let me before you get into that.
Sure.
So what is your like? I gave you my context, my reasoning.
Sure.
I guess the other piece, I talked about Caminero. We talked about Schwellenbach, Merrill, Devers, and this is me wrapping it up. But Devers to me it's like, well, I can't keep him. I'm also getting Caminero back, so in a way, I'm covering myself there. Basically, I've just cut myself short with pitching, but my pitching is good enough for now. I mean, I just lost Pablo Lopez, but it's all right. I can stream, I guess.
Yeah, so I think giving up Schwellenbach when you just lost, literally on the day you lost Pablo Lopez, was a little tough, and I think you might feel that a little bit in the next couple weeks. But looking at the rest of your pitching staff, I think it's solid enough to get by, and your hitting is going to carry you, which is the hallmark of your roster construction on a year-to-year basis. And I think I would rather have Caminero than Devers, and that may sound like recency bias, but who says that they're not like the same player? Also, Caminero is playing in he's a right-handed bat in Georgia M. Steinbrenner Field this year, and the ball might start flying out in Tampa. And Devers is a left-handed bat in Fenway Park. Not that that's totally affected him, but I think you see a ceiling in Devers at like maybe 32 to 35 home runs as like his absolute max.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Caminero. This hitting coach that he went back to see apparently just like fixed him. And I think my biggest gripe with this trade is that it wasn't made last week, because Caminero just annihilated me last week. But hey, you also got Soderstrom in a trade that we talked about last week. And Chourio, whereas like I like the idea of Chourio, and he's had a hot 10 days, but his plate discipline bothers me to death. And so that's the one part where I have some pause. I was actually offered Chourio earlier in the season. Chourio and Nico Herner for Kyle Tucker. Now, in the context of this league, Kyle Tucker cannot be kept because he was a first-round pick. There's no +1 round. Nico Herner, I kind of needed a second base fill-in for a second, because Ketel Marte, I think, was out for some reason, but I ended up obviously not making that trade, because I don't think, no matter how good Chourio is this season, he's not going to help me as much as Kyle Tucker will. I pay slightly less attention to the keeper situation, I think, at this point in the season than you do. So I don't know if I would have made that trade now, but I also don't see like an issue with it. The way I function is I don't like to hurt any aspect of my team
Mhm.
in a trade unless it's like an obvious, like, how could I not take that? So like I wouldn't have traded Schwellenbach in that deal. But I understand that that manager wanted keepers.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't have enough already.
Yeah, I offered him Yamamoto because I can't really justify keeping him.
Right. It'd be too early of a round pick.
But he did not. He was like, I want, I think I also Vlad was in one of the deals at one point, but he said he wanted keepers, and I was like, all right, well, I guess this combination might work, and he went for it.
Yeah, I mean, I look at his roster. He's got Jackson Holiday that I know is a keeper of his. Pete Crow Armstrong, if he sustains, will be a keeper of his. Probably will be anyway because he's a Cubs fan. So PCA, Jackson Merrill.
Well, I think he's pitching, right? Well,
Right,
he
yeah.
might keep Schwellenbach. I think he has Cole Reagans.
Yeah, Schwellenbach, Reagan's, Hunter Brown. He's got a very good team. There's a reason why he's in first place. He beat me last week and it wasn't like far off. He had a great week and I just didn't have as great of a week, but I think I would
Yeah,
have beaten like every other team. But I can't fully understand it from his perspective because I attempted to trade for Churio in the preseason and he was like, I'm not trading Churio. He's my guy. I don't know. But I think it's a great keeper trade for you and
yeah.
a head scratcher, I think, on his part, especially because I asked him. I was like, "Oh man, I'm surprised you gave up Churio." And he goes, "Well, I think I have a chance to win now." And so I had to make that deal. I'm not sure if I'd be able to win again. This is coming from a guy who came in second place last year. He's already in first with those guys on his team. I don't know
Yeah.
why he thought making this deal, in justifying it that way, I don't know why making this deal would make him feel like he's more of a contender than he already is. It is what it is, I guess, for him.
I don't know. I'm not him, so I don't know. But that was
Yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
my
Can't
guess.
it's hard to read managers' minds sometimes. So I mean, offer this guy a cub, dangle a cub in front of him, and he gets like
Oh yeah,
excited.
have you not dangled
Oh,
matcha
I am currently doing that. So
light hitting third baseman matcha?
yeah, I am dangling that right in front of him. And hopefully I can make a deal. I've got actually two offers out to him. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll have a trade update next week
Ooh,
from my end.
I think I've made the most trades in our 10-teamer.
You have. You very much have. And that's okay. It's not near the deadline yet. Some managers have been way opposed to making deals this year in our 10-team league, and I haven't
Yeah,
quite
that's
understood
weird.
that because they are falling further and further and further behind. But hey, you know what? You do you, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask you. I understand this next question can get a bit tedious, but just give us an overview of how the negotiations went because sometimes and I gave a little insight into a trade negotiation I had earlier this year, which is, I offered Gavin Williams and Max Meyer for Shane Baz, and the guy comes back and goes, "Well, I want Judge," and it's like, that
Oh,
puts an
yeah.
end to things immediately,
Yep.
right? So, how did the negotiations go here?
It wasn't like a big back and forth. Um, this manager, he's a little slow to respond, and also I don't think he looks at. I can't really tell with Yahoo and like because I'm like just like obsessed and like constantly getting notifications and like
Yeah,
checking everything. And then there's like some managers I'll DM them through the Yahoo app and they won't get back to me and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see this." And it's like, "Well, do you not have like notifications on? Like you invested 6 months to play this game. Do you just like not go into your app in a daily fantasy format?" So that's a little confusing. But anyway, like I DM'd him through Yahoo. I think I just started by looking at his roster and thinking of like a trade. But I didn't want to give up keepers, so I think I offered Vlad, who I can't keep, Devers, and I think Pablo Lopez was my first offer.
and this was
Um,
weeks ago before he got hurt.
yeah. This was not this week. This was several weeks ago. And Lopez has been pretty good this season, other up until the injury, which is very unfortunate. But he rejected that, And so then I sent him a new offer. I don't really remember what it was. And I messaged him with it. And I said, hey, it looks like you're in a win now situation. I made you an offer. I'm looking to, build up my keepers. So I just kind of left it at that. He took a while to get back to me, but then kind of just said he had no use for Vlad because he has Bryce Harper. Although when I made him that offer with Vlad, Harper was injured, but it took so long that he had healed again. Harper did. He said he has Harper and he has Michael Bush. Okay, fine. Even though you could use Vlad as third base too,
Right.
but that's beside the point.
Not sure he really looked that closely.
And then he said he was interested in Merrill. So then I basically, I think there was a couple more back and forths, and then we arrived on what was accepted.
Well, that went better than my negotiation for Shane Boz earlier this year, and a bullet dodged. But
yeah, right.
I'm glad that went fairly smoothly. It just sometimes when managers take that long, it's like you just get sick and tired of it. And I know you're going through negotiations with another manager in our 12-team league.
I walked away from that.
Oh, good. Thank God.
A day ago. I was
Good.
just like, this is
Smart.
I should just stick with where I am for now.
Yeah,
I guess I can talk to him closer to the trade deadline. I want to.
No, smart. That was very smart. But again, Josh traded Rafi Devers, Jackson Merrill, Spencer Schwellenbach for Jackson Churio and Junior Caminero. A good keeper trade for you, and again, a questionable trade for him. All right, next up we have player updates. The biggest news of this week, Jack Caglianone, however it's said, we're going to call him Jack Cags on this pod, gets the call, big prospect for the Royals. I think it was the 6th overall pick in the draft last year. Absolutely crushed the minors, crushed AA, came up to AAA, crushed them even more up at AAA. Has started off just okay in his first few games in the major leagues, but he's hitting the ball hard, and I think he's kind of might be ready. What do you think? What are your expectations for Jack Caglione, Jackie Cags?
So that's a mouthful.
That is a baseball name from the 1800s, Jackie Cags.
I don't really know what to think of Cags, to be honest. I mean, like coming into the season, he wasn't like a terribly hyped prospect, at least in like shallow formats like that we play in. Like maybe in deeper dynasty leagues, he's been a name. Although not for long, since you said he was drafted only recently. So, I mean, he hits the ball really hard. But I kind of think maybe the doubleheader yesterday be kind of like a microcosm for kind of who he will be, at least this season. I think he laced a double in the first game, and I think he put the ball in play, although I don't think he's launching the ball. I mean, it's so early, so that all this like StatCast stuff is very noisy, but
small sample for sure.
Currently, his max his exit velocity is 85, and he has a max of 113 with a slightly minus launch angle, no barrels.
I will say though, in his first game, he had the 2 hardest hit balls of that game.
But he was also he's been facing kind of mid pitching, and then he struck out in the second game of the doubleheader yesterday. He struck out 3 times. So, I think like with these prospects, like, yeah, it's exciting, and I think people like get really hyped, especially those that own them.
Guilty.
I think it's cool. He's coming up. I guess he has the potential to be a big power bat, but I'll probably never own him in either of our leagues, potentially.
You said the same thing about Kurtz, and now you have Kurtz on one of your rosters.
Oh, so does that mean you're going to drop him? Cags.
I did drop him in the 12. I dropped Kurtz in the 12-teamer because I was activating, like Mike Trout and Ronald Acuna.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess he hits the ball hard enough. I guess, you can hit maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 home runs this season. Like it looks like he takes walks, at least in the minors. I mean, maybe he could hit 240.
Wow. I'm going to go better than 240 because he hits the ball so hard.
Oh no, man. I don't see that.
Okay. We're going to just totally ignore the prospects reports, right? Because Aaron Judge is the post, and Juan Soto are the poster childs for just getting that wrong. But I will say Caglianone's prospect report is eerily close to Aaron Judge.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not comparing
Wow.
them.
Here's the hype engine here.
I'm
We're going
not
supernova here.
I'm not comparing them. I promise you that. I'm not. All I'm saying is he has that level of power. Like the exit velocities are uber premium. I think he hit a ball over 120 miles an hour. He would have had like the hardest hit ball up until O'Neal Cruz hit 122.9 or whatever it was last week.
Hmm.
He would have had the hardest hit ball in professional baseball this year. He is a converted two-way player. He was a pitcher in college for Florida, and he also was a hitter. And he is focused solely on hitting since making his pro debut in the minor leagues last year. He has closed the holes in his swing, according to all the experts. I am just really excited for this big power bat, and I don't feel like there's much difference between him and Kurtz. Kurtz allegedly has a better hit tool than Caglianone, but Kurtz also had more strikeouts at AAA than Cags did. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Cags. I'm going to do this every time.
Like a pronunciation here?
There's
Like
got to be
baseball
something
reference?
somewhere. But I'll give the edge to Cags if you want to compare him to Kurtz. I'm excited. I'm going to give him plenty of time, especially in the 10-team league where I roster Cags, because I see him as a potential massively valuable keeper at the end of the draft. And whereas I thought Kurtz was a fantastic dynasty add in our 12 team, I just don't have the room for him with Matt Olson at first base. You know, if I didn't have Olson at first, I probably would have been more willing to keep Kurtz around on the roster. But Cags, I think, has a big time power potential. The Royals need him, so he's got plenty of runway to play in the outfield there. So he will gain dual eligibility between first base and outfield. So you potentially have a very good difference maker if you were lucky enough to pick him up. And if he's still on your wire, make a speculative ad. But moving on to the Giants bullpen situation, this is something we've talked about several times this year. Camilo Doval officially named the closer over Ryan Walker. And I'm wondering if this role is just cursed because Doval hasn't looked great since getting that stamp of approval from the manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's the setup? I don't even think Ryan Walker's the setup guy anymore.
No, they have two setup guys. They've got one of the Rogers twins, and they've got this guy, Randy Rodriguez. Who
Randy Rodriguez.
I believe leads all relievers in K to walk ratio, and looks like a closer in waiting. But
yeah.
They said the same thing about Ryan Walker.
Man,
is this role just cursed? Like, what do you does Doval have the tools to succeed, or is he going to regress? He's been a lot better. He's been like I said, he's been a little shaky since he got the stamp of approval, but he had like 20 something consecutive scoreless outings before giving up a run a couple days ago.
Yeah, a lot of closer situations outside maybe the top 10, maybe that's generous, but are on shaky grounds. As a Ryan Walker draftee, been pretty frustrating, and that owning him and just the whole Giants situation. I actually didn't like, even though I'm a Giants fan, I don't think I paid attention to the Giants that much towards the end of last season, so I kind of missed the whole Ryan Walker ascension to closer. And then just looking at him, like I watched a couple games with him in it early on, and I was just like, man, this, like the eye test, he did not pass the eye test. I was like, this guy does not have the stuff, the body language. Just, I don't know. That's just to say, like, sometimes you got to look at these guys in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
to kind of see Duvall. Maybe he's a stopgap. He's been so good, so maybe they just feel like he's good enough for now. He had the closer job before, but he also lost it, so could lose it again. But I think if you need saves and for some reason he's on the wire, you should probably pick him up.
Yeah, maybe speculate on Randy Rodriguez too. I know he's actually owned in both of our leagues. One of them save
Yeah,
plus hold, and he wasn't really picking those up earlier, but he started to really accumulate them lately. With
yeah,
after Ryan Walker's demotion. But I was never Ryan Walker believer because of that insane cross body motion. There's just too
yeah.
many
I don't like
inconsistencies with
that.
that. Yeah. Poster child for that, in my opinion, is Freddie Peralta in Milwaukee. Throws way across his body and is wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, it just seems like you're gonna have issues with command.
It's a deceptive way to pitch, but you're trading off, your command there for sure.
Yeah.
Your bullpen situation kind of worked itself out very nicely.
Oh, yeah.
You get to drop Ryan Walker, Luke Weaver
Yeah.
gets hurt, and Devin Williams comes back in to be a closer. So boom, there you go.
Yeah,
Closer
we'll
situation
see.
taken care of. But
Closer for now.
closer for now. Another thing that kind of caught my attention this week, which I found very interesting, was that the Yankees worked out Paul Goldschmidt at second base.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know how good of an idea it is to move a career first baseman who is 37 years old over to second base. Now, he is an extreme athlete, but second base, I can't help but think like maybe third base would have been better. I don't know. But they worked out Paul Goldschmidt at second base. Obviously, this is prep for Giancarlo Stanton's return. And it's got to be good news for one of your favorites of the season, Ben Rice, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that Paul Goldschmidt getting second base eligibility would be good? Like for fantasy wise, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
what about real life? Hold on. We got to talk real life baseball for a second. Paul Goldschmidt at second base?
Who's at second base right now?
DJ LeMahieu.
Is it DJ? Oh, yeah, DJ. Well, he had what, 3-hit game at the Dodgers?
Yeah.
I mean, but Paul Goldschmidt's really producing this season, so like he's never played second base.
Not in the majors.
I wonder if would he be better? I know Gleyber Torres isn't on the Yankees, but would he be better than Torres?
I find it hard to be worse at second base than Gleyber Torres. You could stick my mom at second base, and she would be better than Gleyber Torres. Okay, so
I mean, Paul. I don't know how he's been in the past couple seasons. I don't have the numbers in front of me, defensive numbers, but I believe he's been a Gold Glove first baseman. So my guess, and he's still a decent athlete, as you say. So my guess is that it might be worth a shot. He's producing now, so that'd be a way to keep him in the lineup and have Ben Rice at first to get more at bats for him. And I think that would probably be optimal in terms of like lineup, because then it's Jazz in the infield. It'd be Jazz, Volpe, Goldschmidt, Rice, right?
yeah,
As opposed to like Oswald Peraza and DJ LeMahieu and
Jorge Vivas. Who?
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I think from like a bat first perspective, I think it's worth a shot, and they have the resources to, I guess, retreat from that if that proves to be a mistake. But I mean, that'd be pretty. I mean, for a fantasy perspective, I'd love Paul Goldschmidt as my second baseman, at least right now.
Oh yeah, we've talked about just how terrible second base is, and I think that would be a major boost to the position. But I think that would scare the absolute crap out of me as a Yankees fan. Let's put our 37-year-old career first baseman at second base, to put Ben Rice at first, so we could have Stanton at the DH.
Yeah.
Stanton gets hurt, Goldie gets hurt, and that'd spell doom, I think, for the lineup. But yeah, I just found that very peculiar. They're looking for internal solutions because I guess they want to get Ben Rice is bat in the lineup on a consistent basis, and that would bump, Trent Grisham to the bench in the role that he really should be playing. So,
Yeah.
I think just a very peculiar thing that you may want to keep an eye out for, perhaps in like a month, maybe a couple weeks. See if
Mhm.
Goldschmidt actually starts playing second base for the Yankees. And then last but not least on the docket for today, Jesus Luzardo and Brandon Pfaadt.
Oof.
Regression comes for us all. Pfaadt gave up 8 earned runs without recording an out, or
Jesus.
I want to say at the end of last week, and then yesterday got demolished again. And Luzardo got whatever is worse than getting demolished. He got like sent off to another planet. He just got absolutely obliterated in his
Yeah.
last, 2 or 3 outings now at this point. And
Yep.
wow, his numbers now, like if you're in a roto league,
Yeah.
Luzardo just wiped out all the good things he did for you.
Yep.
But if you're in a head-to-head, it hurts a little bit less. So I know you weren't a Pfaadt fan. Let's just, because I think he'll be a shorter discussion. Drop Brendan Pfaadt, right? Move on.
Yeah. I mean, he just was never, I think he was like a hot name like a season or two ago, like when he got his call up. I think there was a couple guys kind of hyping him up, but I think when it comes down to it, he just wasn't like high-end pitching prospect. And clearly we're seeing that, and I just think he's a drop in shallow formats. Just move on.
Fair enough. Jesus Luzardo, though, what do you think rest of season he's going to do? Because this isn't just going from like, oh, he took a leap from ace and experienced regression, and now he's back more to expectations. This is like high alert. Like, what is going on here?
Before these two or three blow up starts with Luzardo, I think we had this like recency bias on him that, oh, he's with the Phillies, change of environment, he's unlocked a new step in his progression as a pitcher, people started buying into it. But I kind of think this is like, I think this is who he is, because he's had blowups in seasons past, like bad blowups in seasons past, like when he was with the A's and other teams. And I just think this is kind of who he is. I just think he's a high variance pitcher that's going to give you high highs and low lows. So I think you just kind of have to know that. Don't drop him. I would not drop Luzardo. I mean, if you don't like this, I guess just bench him and hope he strings together another couple of good starts. Maybe you can shop him if you want to get off the ride, but I just think this is who he is. I think he's a high variance pitcher with upside.
I did hear that hitters are sort of jumping on his first pitch a little bit more often right now, and so I wonder if there's a pitch tipping issue going on. But he gave up 12 earned runs in 3 1/3 against Milwaukee on May 31st, and he gave up 8 earned runs in 2 1/3 on June 5th. It just absolutely got, like I said, obliterated in both of those starts. I remember when he was coming up, we were really hyped about him when he was coming up for the then Oakland Athletics.
Named my team after him.
Yes, you did.
The Jesus Lizard.
He just, like I said, just kept getting hurt. And then the performance was wildly inconsistent. And
exactly,
I think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
That's
he's
exactly what I'm saying.
I know. He's just, I think, someone that I just will never really have an interest in, no matter how high those highs are.
Yep.
Because of these like extreme lows. Like if he was on your roster, he probably lost you your weeks in your pitching ratios in your head-to-head league because of those starts.
It's funny you say that, because I think I was facing a manager that had Luzardo, I think the week of that really bad blow up. I had, for some reason, it's really a boneheaded move on my part, but I started Will Warren against the Dodgers, and he just got rocked by the Dodgers. And so I was like, oh, there goes my pitching for the week. And then I think a day later, the other manager had Luzardo, and then I was actually leading and pitching.
Wow. You didn't have the worst guy.
So it made me feel a little better.
That's good luck. You need some good luck because you've experienced some pretty bad luck when it comes to matchup situations like that. So that's good luck. Warren got beat up, like you said, by the Dodgers, and then Luzardo got obliterated. So you lucked out there. But we're dropping Fott, and Luzardo, I think, is just a bench until he figures it out.
I think I'd just bench him. I would not drop him.
I wouldn't buy low right now. He's just too inconsistent for my liking. And if you go to sell right now, you're gonna take a loss. So I would not do anything. I would just have a little bit of patience there with Jesus Luzardo. But we're gonna wrap it up right there. We'll be back next week with 2 new episodes of Midweek Minutes to get you caught up on all of the most important news and notes from around the league, and of course our full-length episode as well. And remember, please subscribe. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. So for Josh, I'm Eric saying, see you next time.
Go get kegs.